Welcome, comic enthusiasts, to Ganyu, online comic. Remember to like and subscribe so we can experience interesting manhwa together. The scene shifts to Zhao Yushi's bathroom. She was soaking in warm water while conversing with White Empress. Why haven't I created the White Emperor flower? White Empress replied, you have not officially entered the introductory section. Don't rush. After entering, you can create emanation naturally the flower until it eventually becomes the White Emperor's flower, capable of shaking this world. No need to be impatient. Yushi, feeling frustrated, continued, the White Emperor's cultivation technique is too difficult. The White Empress heard this and immediately said, this is natural. Inheritance of the White Emperor is the lifelong masterpiece of the White Emperor. Don't even think about reaching the level of cultivation, even your eligibility for cultivation is absent. Only those with outstanding talent within the bloodline of the White Emperor can hope to comprehend a fraction of the White Emperor's flower. This is already an extraordinary feat in yourself. Upon hearing the White Empress's words, she asked, so, Truong Sin can one day blossom and comprehend the White Emperor's celestial technique? The White Empress spoke loudly, absolutely impossible. Without the support of the bloodline, even if you were a genius, it would take at least 100 years to even begin the cultivation. She continued, the White Empress, if you were to pass on the technique to Truong Sin, how long would it take for him to reach the first realm? The White Empress replied, as for him, it's truly unpredictable. But no matter how strong one is, it will still take at least 100 years to reach the first realm. Because without the acknowledgement of the White Emperor's will, anyone will be stuck at the first realm. She sighed and said, it seems that Truong Sin has no fate with the White Emperor's inheritance. Switching back to Truong Sin's room, he had now cultivated to the first realm of the White Emperor's inheritance. The spiritual energy around his body had condensed into a small flower in the palm of his hand. Opening his eyes, he couldn't believe that he had achieved the first realm peak within such a short time. Is the White Emperor's technique truly this effective? The scene shifts to the second day at the Supreme Sword Sect. Disciples here were tidying up the area and chatting. Present in the audience were various seniors and junior disciples. Wang Elder began the meeting. Why are we gathering again today? Zhang Mo asked. The elder next to him spoke up, Wang Elder, you should pay more attention to the news from the outside world. The matter we need to discuss today is related to the widespread spread of the news that Chongsheng has resumed cultivation, echoing throughout the capital. Elder Wang frowned and asked, restore cultivation? Elder Wang continued, he underwent the fire escape and demon integration, depleting his spiritual energy, absolutely unable to restore cultivation. Another elder interjected, but I heard that Chongsheng not only achieved victory in a competitive match but also helped a waste girl in just 3 days to become an original consciousness. Hearing this, Vang Truong Lao exclaimed incredulously, even becoming an original consciousness in 3 days? Are you daydreaming? This is utterly ridiculous. People below started gossiping, achieving original consciousness in 3 days? Is this a daydream or what? This is unbelievably funny. Elder Wang, with a serious expression, spoke, if Chongsheng truly has such abilities, then why is the disciple Shen Ruodian, whom he bought, still unable to cultivate? Xiao Yun, who has been silent until now, spoke up, everyone, be silent. Today's meeting is to discuss the matter of recruiting disciples. Though appearing calm on the surface, she couldn't help but worry about her disciple. She truly hopes that these rumors are true. After half an hour of discussion, Xiao Yun stood up, turned around, and said, the meeting is concluded. Everyone can disperse. As she left, sycophantic voices praised Hua Hoa, saying, it seems that Chongsheng was kicked out. The position of the senior brother will be taken over by senior brother Hua Chen. Hearing the flattery, Hua Chen responded, if I meet that wretched Chongsheng again, I will revenge him for everything he did to me in the past. The scene transitions to the guest reception of the Supreme Sword Sect. Hua Chen, sipping tea contentedly, said, the feeling of being senior brother is indeed wonderful. But the joy didn't last long as a disciple rushed in, exclaiming, urgent news. Senior brother Hua Hoa, something is not right. Remaining composed, Hua Chen inquired, what happened? The disciple spoke loudly, Chongsheng has returned. Hua Chen's calm demeanor shattered, and he angrily exclaimed, really? Is it true? The disciple hesitated, it seems so, but maybe not. Hua Chen, infuriated, stood up, slammed the table, and shouted, "Is it true or not? Are you playing with me?" The disciple stammered, "No, it seems he's back, but he paid for his purchases this time." Hua Chen, now adopting a more subdued tone, continued, "Did Chongsheng ever pay for the items when he was at the Supreme Sword Sect?" The disciple shook his head repeatedly, saying, "No, he did never." Hearing this, Hua Chen revealed a cunning expression, saying, "It seems that after becoming a cripple, he can no longer be arrogant. Even if he returns, what can he do? If he dares to show his face, I will make sure Chongsheng has nowhere to bury himself." Outside the main hall, Chongsheng, with a face covered by a veil, arrived with Zhao Yushi. He spoke up, reminding her, "Yushi, stay within this area and don't roam around casually to avoid unnecessary attention. Arrogant actions will attract unwanted notice." Yushi, feeling Chongsheng's concern, replied, "But with you by my side, I don't need to worry about my safety as much as before." Hearing Zhao Yushi's response, Chongsheng felt a moment of instability and silently worried. "She, following me, is the most dangerous. I already have plenty of enemies. If she stirs up trouble, I might not have a safe place left." Despite the internal concern, he showed no signs of it externally and turned around to speak. "The path to becoming a strong cultivator involves not interfering with others. The White Emperor hasn't granted you a set of spirit techniques that can conceal your aura. Knowing how to hide your strength is crucial for self-protection during conflicts." Yushi, with a radiant smile, said, "Chongsheng, are you concerned about me?" The White Empress, seeing Chongsheng's reasonable words, chimed in, "He's right. Both of us can't protect you throughout your life. I will pass on some spirit techniques to you." Chongsheng continued, "Yes, if I don't care for you, who else would bother? However, he have another plan in mind. He thought, if my guess is correct, I might be able to simultaneously learn the celestial technique that the White Empress is teaching Yushi. Although I've already mastered the first realm of the White Emperor's celestial technique, with the assembly approaching, I need more trump cards for myself." The scene shifts to the opening of the Grand Assembly, where a somewhat disappointed voice mixed with a hint of frustration emerged from an elder. "This year's disciples are lacking. This year, they are even worse than the previous one. Is there really only one Chongsheng in this world?" Hearing the comments about Chongsheng, Elder Wang turned to question the sect master Xiao Yun. "Sect master, when will you retrieve Chongsheng's longevity sword?" Another elder joined in, "That's right. He has destroyed countless resources of ours. Even if we sell the entire sect, it won't be enough to compensate for the value of that celestial longevity sword. We must retrieve it." The unsettling words about Chongsheng angered Xiao Yun, her face darkening as she replied, "Do you know the difference between a usable sword and a useless one?" Seeing her discomfort, the elder tried to respond hesitantly, "Well, this." As the tension escalated, a disciple rushed in frantically, shouting, "Elders, something urgent has happened." "Why are you so frightened?" asked the elder. The panicked disciple struggled to articulate his words. To regain composure, he slapped himself hard across the face, bringing clarity, and then reported, "Chongsheng has arrived at the assembly. He just announced it, and the entire crowd is in shock, full of suspicion and questions." "What? Does he still have the courage to come back? A cripple like him wants to fight? What else does that bizarre person want?" questioned someone in disbelief. Tu Van, who had stopped sitting above, couldn't help but be startled when she heard the news that called Chongsheng's name in the boundless void. Heart pondered, has he truly recovered? Switching to the scene where Chongsheng and Yushi are talking to each other. Chongsheng spoke first, "Participate in the first assessment. Remember, don't reveal your true strength too much." Truong Xin advised her carefully. Yushi, hearing the instructions, promptly responded, "All right, if you say so, I will control my cultivation to the body cultivation late foundational stage." After Yushi left, Chongsheng covered his face with a black cloth and calmly stepped outside. Faced with the curious or scrutinizing gazes of passers-by, he hoped Yushi could quickly pass the assessment. He didn't want to face his old enemies alone. Lost in his thoughts, suddenly two people passing by recognized him and shouted, "Senior brother?" Chongsheng's mood collapsed as the call echoed. He felt fear and anxiety. It seemed like his happy days were coming to an end. Unable to hide his true identity any longer. Changsheng removed the black cloth, coldly asking, "What is it?" Although he appeared unaffected, turmoil surged within him. The two people, realizing they hadn't mistaken the person, expressed joy and greeted him respectfully. "Congratulations, senior brother, on your return." The disciples present also paid their respects, leaving Changsheng standing there, overwhelmed and motionless. From a distance, those who harbored ill feelings towards him began gossiping about his presence, and inevitably, his keen ears caught every word. Why can't we sense his cultivation level? Is he truly a waste? Does he want to reclaim his former status? Such comments made him anxious, thinking, luckily, I obtained the hidden chi technique earlier, otherwise, the outcome might not be favorable. Suddenly, a voice broke his contemplation, "Are you truly Changsheng?" It was Hua Chen, who had apparently gathered a few others after hearing the news. Hua Chen, with a stern face and sharp eyes, questioned, "Changsheng, do you recognize me?" Changsheng replied indifferently, "I don't have any impression." His response shocked Hua Chen, who clenched his fist in anger, silently thinking, "I am Hua Chen, the senior disciple of the Grand Elder. Back then, you beat me badly in the sect, and now you claim not to remember? Huh? Is this the language of humans?" Despite his internal anger, Hua Chen maintained a superior demeanor, saying, "As a waste like you, do you want to return to the Supreme Sword Sect?" Changsheng's expression remained unchanged as he replied, "I never said I would come back. I'm here only to accompany my friend attending the Grand Assembly." Although Changsheng explained, Hua Chen remained absorbed in his resentment, speaking provocatively, "Even as a waste, someone is following you, pretending to be imposing. Look around. No one cares about him words anymore." People around were now more interested in the peculiar situation. Hua Chen continued, quickly, "Look at that situation, it must be something serious." Hua Chen paused, surprised at the unusual scene unfolding before everyone's eyes. At this moment, Zhao Yushi is transferring a portion of her spiritual energy to ancient stone pedestal. Her spiritual power is so strong that when she imparts just a small amount to stone, a powerful burst of light immediately radiates, shining straight up into the sky. The second person is a heavenly body. The scene before them surprised Xiao Yun to the point where she stood up from her seat, exclaiming, "Indeed, it is a heavenly body." The senior next to her remarked, "Changsheng, the second one has appeared. Although the realm is a bit low, this brilliant body is incredibly powerful. The Holy Land is about to have a heavenly body." Ha ha ha. Xiao Yun, now astonished, stood still, unable to believe the strength displayed before her. Hua Chen, standing nearby, was bewildered and thought, could this be the person Changsheng mentioned he is accompanying? It's absolutely impossible for these two to meet by chance. To encounter a heavenly body once in 100 years, how could they possibly know each other? As the senior disciple now, if I can establish a connection with this junior sister. Thinking this way, Changsheng, with a sinister expression, swiftly moved towards Truong Xin, saying loudly, "Waste, get out of the way. Make way for me." He thought that pursuing the junior sister was more important now. Temporarily, he could overlook this waste. The unexpected turn of events startled Changsheng, and he realized it was time to use the White Emperor's technique. Before Hua Chen could react, Yushi, surrounded by spiritual energy, leaped from Truong Xin to stand in front of him. As she landed, she angrily asked, "Who are you to boldly speak to my Changsheng like that?" The force from her body was so powerful that as soon as her feet touched the ground, her words caused a commotion among everyone present. Everyone exclaimed, "Is she Changsheng's person?" The trembling ground made Hua Chen struggle to maintain his balance, saying, unexpectedly, "Our senior brother now relies on a woman to protect him?" "Yushi," inquired, "Waste? Who told you that Changsheng is a waste?" The senior elders above are starting to suspect and discuss among themselves. Is it possible that Changsheng will not have his cultivation base eliminated? It can't be. This is absolutely impossible. Hua Chen, infuriated, tightened his fist and loudly challenged, "If you're not a waste, Changsheng, do you dare to fight me?" Disdainfully, Changsheng replied, "Dare to fight with someone like you? That's beneath me." After speaking, he turned away, saying, "Yushi, let's go." Hearing that, Yushi obediently followed. After settling down next to each other, Truong Sin and Yushir began to talk. Chongqing explained, the sacred site has 3 rounds. The first assesses talent. In the second round, people can choose a specific sacred land disciple to challenge, aimed at testing their strength. Of course, the realms must be suppressed to the same level during the challenge. Yushir's eyes suddenly changed, becoming colder. That guy just had ill intentions towards you, I'll fight him on your behalf. Chongqing noticed the flames of resentment gradually clouding Yushir's eyes, making her disdainful towards the enemies. He then spoke up, reminding her, even though you are currently at a high realm, do not underestimate the enemy because you've just learned celestial techniques. It's feared that you may not match him in terms of spiritual laws. Is it possible that you, Chongqing, are concerned about me? Yushir asked shyly while embracing Chongqing's arm. He replied, of course, you are very important to me now. Chongqing glanced at the senior elders and thought to himself, now I have many enemies like the one just now. Yushir sitting beside him noticed his gaze shifting upwards and, feeling a tinge of jealousy, asked, Chongqing, who are you looking at? Who is that woman sitting up there? Seeing her jealousy, he gently chuckled and said, I am looking at your future master. I hope she can nurture you even more. Xiao Yun, sitting above, watched him with a worried look. Can Chongqing truly come back? Meanwhile, he looked at his master with a determined gaze. What he did before had undoubtedly disappointed Xiao Yun, and he hoped to make amends for that in the future. After chatting for a while, the second round of the competition finally began. Come on, the second round has started. I hope you can learn to grow in this battle, Chongqing said. Yes, I will, she replied cheerfully. The White Empress, hearing this, felt confused. Is he enlightening himself to teach Yushir how to fight? On the other hand, Truong Sin didn't think deeply. He looked at Yushir's back with his concerned eyes. Why does he seem to treat all women as enemies? I hope there won't be any trouble in the future. At that moment, Xiao Yun, the head elder, and some other elders approached him. Xiao Yun asked, are you okay? The head elder sarcastically added, anything happened to him? Bringing a heavenly talent here, do you want to use it to return to the sect? Unfortunately, the sect has never accepted back disciples who have been expelled. Uncomfortably, Chongqing replied, return. Head elder, it seems you are mistaken. I just want to tell you one thing, all your disciples are nothing but rubbish. These words immediately angered the head elder to the point of darkness. The onlookers began gossiping, is senior brother Chongqing insane? How dare he talk nonsense to the head elder? On the arena, a calm elder asked, forgive me, Miss Yushir, which sacred place do you choose to join? Supreme Sword Sect, she decisively answered. Without waiting for the elder to call his name, Hua Chen stepped forward. Disciple Hua Chen from Supreme Sword Sect is here to challenge. Yushir, with a cold expression, said, I'm waiting for you. Don't stand there saying meaningless words. Come on. Hua Chen, filled with momentum, immediately unleashed the 3 Heavens sword technique, rushing towards Yushir. With a malicious look, he said while attacking, look carefully, Su Chongqing. The person you like is just trash. People below the arena noticed the formidable sword technique and commented, he's using the 3 Heavens sword technique. Isn't this against the rules? This disciple from Supreme Sword Sect has a bad temperament. I didn't expect him to be afraid of losing so much. He wants to kill me. Yushir's face remained calm. The White Empress, now appearing, commented, you guessed it right. This is your first fight between life and death. Don't worry, I've become familiar with the 3 Heavens sword technique he's using. I will infuse it into your consciousness. However, you can only rely on yourself to find the weaknesses of this sword technique and figure out how to counter it. As the White Empress finished speaking, he transmitted a considerable amount of power to her. Hua Chen had quickly approached, wearing a menacing expression with eyes that displayed the intent to kill. Without hesitation, he swung his sword towards her, creating a dazzling flash of green light. He intended to kill her using the 3 Heavens sword technique. However, to his surprise, not only did she block his fatal strike, but she also countered with a powerful slash that sent him flying backward. Hua Chen was perplexed, thinking, how is this possible? Can she really withstand my 3 Heavens sword technique? Even a genius at the body cultivation level max couldn't endure this strike. After Yu Shi successfully defended against Hua Chen's attack, the White Empress said, "Yu Shi, despite having a pure bloodline and exceptional talent, your understanding of sword techniques is lacking. You can block, but you fail to see the openings." The intense battle suddenly experienced a surge of powerful spiritual energy in the air. Suddenly, Changsheng was cultivating his profound internal energy, causing a massive release of spiritual energy around his body. His strength was so overwhelming that those standing nearby were pushed away. While utilizing his internal energy, he thought the White Empress had truly taught Yu Shi the Three Heavens sword technique. When Yu Shi learns a certain martial art, he will also learn that martial art. The powerful spiritual energy within Truong Sin erupted, releasing a significant amount of energy. The unexpected scene in the sky left everyone astonished. Hua Chen and his master were both shocked and fearful. The White Empress appeared puzzled, while Xiao Yun and Yu Shi smiled happily. People couldn't believe that Truong Sin, someone previously considered a waste, now possessed such formidable power. Could he be a supernatural being, or did he comprehend all techniques? Questions arose among the spectators as they witnessed this sudden transformation. After comprehending the entire Three Heavens sword technique, Changsheng slowly opened his eyes, his cold expression and sharp gaze revealing, "Yu Shi, I have fully grasped the Three Heavens sword technique. Follow my instructions now, unleash your spiritual power to shatter his sword technique." Yu Shi, determined, gripped her sword tightly, her body radiating powerful spiritual energy. With a cold look and resolute voice, she replied, "Got it. I'll show them how formidable my Changsheng truly is." Hearing that Changsheng could neutralize his sword technique, Hua Chen, while everyone was focused on Truong Sin, sneakily attacked Yu Shi from behind. Jumping high with a sharp sword and a malicious expression, he shouted, "Indeed, you should die. Let's see my sword now." Changsheng, observing Hua Chen's move, calmly pointed out the weakness of the sword technique to Yu Shi, saying, "The Three Heavens sword technique is powerful, but it has its flaws." Nok replied, "Understood." She then swiftly moved towards Hua Chen, anticipating the treacherous strike. As predicted, Yu Shi not only defended against his malicious attack but also countered with such force that it left Hua Chen staggered. He thought to himself, "How did she easily block my strike? Damn it, how does Changsheng know the weakness of the Three Heavens sword technique?" Despite Hua Chen continuing his taunting wildly, his confidence had diminished, replaced by a worried expression. Yu Shi, still calm, successfully parried his dangerous attacks. After observing the battle for a while, Changsheng finally saw through Hua Chen's sword technique. He calmly guided Yu Shi to strike at the vulnerable point of Hua Chen. True to his observation, with just one attack from Yu Shi, Hua Chen lost his balance. Gripping his own sword tightly, he succumbed to the force, and his weapon was forcibly knocked out of his hands. Hua Chen was now powerless and couldn't retaliate, only helplessly enduring the painful blows Yu Shi delivered. Seizing the opportunity, Yu Shi unleashed her own sword technique against Hua Chen. Each strike from Nok's sword landed accurately and with overwhelming power on Hua Chen's body. He could do nothing but endure all the blows she inflicted. As Yu Shi's feet touched the ground, the powerful slashes from her sword cut into his flesh, causing blood to spray out. Hua Chen, in agony, fell to his knees in front of Changsheng, letting out a scream of pain that shattered the peaceful atmosphere. Truong Sin, witnessing Hua Chen's arrogant defeat, couldn't help but sneer. "The price of forcefully activating spiritual energy is the intense pain throughout your body. I let Yu Shi attack all the weak points on your body, and of course, the pain intensifies many times. Now, aren't you feeling quite uncomfortable?" Hua Chen, opening his eyes in astonishment, exclaimed, "I never expected that Changsheng, whom I always thought was a discarded cultivator with no cultivation potential, could now perceive everything." He could only mutter belatedly, "You're truly ruthless." With those words, he lost consciousness and lay motionless on the ground. The senior cultivators and Xiao Yun, sitting above, observed the entire situation with surprise and astonishment. They couldn't believe that Changsheng could not only recover his cultivation but also become so powerful. As for the girl named Yu Shi, she easily defeated a disciple highly trained by the Supreme Sword Sect. The scene left Elder Wang so surprised that he couldn't find words. The other senior cultivators were equally astonished, unable to sit or stand still, saying, "He truly is a celestial body, able to comprehend the myriad techniques." The sword master had indeed found a talented disciple for himself. With such innate talent, the Supreme Sword Sect was expected to become renowned in the future. Changsheng, however, didn't dwell on these thoughts. After the intense battle, he approached Yushi and gently stroked her head, while she responded with a sweet smile. The tender moment between the two lovers seemed inconsistent with the fierce and brutal fight they had just experienced. Suddenly, a voice interrupted the sentimental scene, surprising everyone. It turned out to be Changsheng's revered master, who had apparently descended to the arena unnoticed. Xiao Yun, ceasing his graceful approach, walked towards Changsheng and Yushi. Yushi, sensing a new presence, quickly extended her arm to block Xiao Yun, a hint of jealousy in her eyes, saying, "I am the woman he loves the most." Xiao Yun, noticing Nox's reaction, responded with a sarcastic tone, "Oh, is that so? That explains why Changsheng is acting strangely today." Changsheng, feeling the tension in the conversation, could only smile. The aura emanating from Yushi intensified, causing Truong Xin to break into a nervous sweat, thinking, "This is not good. If they continue talking, this Yandere situation might lead to trouble. I have to find a way to escape to prevent any uncertain situations. It's better to separate them now." He decided to intervene and divert their attention. Thinking up to this point, he immediately took action. Changsheng, calming himself, smiled pretentiously and said, "Yushi, why don't we register for the next exam now?" Changsheng, still trying to divert Yushi's thoughts to another matter, seemed to find it impossible. Yushi's gaze remained intense, staring at Xiao Yun as if expecting that everything would eventually lead to a dead end. If you like video, you can subscribe and press the notification bell for future videos. I sincerely thank you for your support.